to do some pine straw. I think I got 150 bales, 160 bales, give or take. Here, let's just hop up here and take a look. Bunch of pine straw. Okay, I got my equipment defender racks put on a couple days ago, so that's looking good. And I'm actually using my old green touch racks as a fake wall to help me retain some of it. Look at that. Look at that craftsmanship, right? Not too bad. You got the blower rack up front, looking good, looking good. So we got 160-ish on the trailer, and I got another 100 and I don't know how many right here. I think another 150 right here. And then if we come around to the back of the house, we've got 110 bags of pine nuggets for the one job that has pine nuggets. I'm letting the truck warm up because it is 29 degrees this morning. You know, last week we got sunburnt, 80 degrees one day, and now here we are. It actually snowed. It snowed yesterday. Okay, that's how freaking cold it is. And this is what we always get this in Georgia. You know, I made a video on our Facebook page talking about, without fail, every single spring we get that super hot, like 80-degree week or two in March. Okay, and everyone goes, oh my gosh, it's time to go fertilize, 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 plant, 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 seed, seed, seed. And then we get this frost. It happens every single year, and I warn people, I warn my customers, hey, listen, just wait, just be patient. You're gonna get better results for it. You know, everything you do that has new plant, roots, seed, anything new in seedling stage, basically, if we get this frost, especially like we did yesterday, if we get this frost all of a sudden, all that super growth you just pushed is in danger of being stunted or even just flat out damaged, killed. So just hang in there, be patient. I know it feels a certain type of way, but just hold out. And when the weather's actually genuinely warm, we can plant to your heart's content. Okay, yeah, I'm waiting on this truck to warm up. It is cold, man. All right, here we are at the first job for the pine straw, and we're going to try something a little bit different this year. Anywhere that there's concrete, I want to try and dig out a little bit of a slope and tuck it in a little bit more, because what ends up happening is when you just tuck it normally, the phone alarm's going off. What happens is when you tuck it normally, it comes up a little bit too high, and then it mats down, and it's like I can come back and blow it back in, but I always have to come in and kind of tuck this anyway. So I'm going to try to pull some of this off and then manually tuck it instead of using the blower. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to figure it out as we go. I'm going to pull some of these bigger weeds, and then I'll get into that though. I think this is a pretty good sort of medium, and like I say, just give me just enough room to tuck in, you know, and then to shape it around the corners. You can kind of see the curve, hopefully. And so hopefully that'll look nice and neat. Because basically what I'm trying to avoid is this, where it sits flush and then it keeps spilling over. And it's not so pronounced right now while the pine straw is old, but when it's new, and if you've ever done this before, you'll know, when it's new, it just keeps spilling over into the walkway. And I want the walkways to be nice and neat, totally clean. So instead of an actual tuck, we're going to take the shovel and manually tuck it into the edge and try to get that super clean, crisp look. That's 10 years of shovel gone. Wow. All right, these ought to be easier. Alright, we're just going to pull the big stuff. Now this has already been sprayed, so I don't mind to throw it back. And we're also going to put a pre-emergent down. I just don't want it sticking up when I lay my Pinestraw. This was all sprayed last week when I mowed. So you can see it's kind of dying, but it's not fully dead yet. But it will be. It's just slower because we're in the 30-degree second frost. All right. Maiden voyage of the Echo refresh. Hopefully that video's out. Will it cold start? And by cold start, I mean it's been sitting in 30-degree weather for 4 days. Now look, I'm telling you, it was cold. Look, I'm touching the muffler. That's not hot. Let's see if it'll cut. Not too shabby. Now, this is a lot thicker than I would normally want to cut with that, but on the stuff we should be cutting, it's pretty clean. If it keeps running like that, I want to say that was a huge success in refreshing that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look for the video on my channel, refreshing my Echo HC 2020. would like tidy up things like this a little bit sharper. I'll post, I'll show a clip of last year's cleanup, because I think I have this, or the way I would normally do it, but this is how we're doing it this year. And I'm going to tuck it in manually and kind of mash it down. Let's see how this works. Finished look. I like that. I think that's nice, sharp, crisp. And hopefully it'll stay that way. Alright, and there's the final manual tucked. Not too bad, I don't think. It definitely takes a lot longer, but I like the sharper, cleaner look for sure. All right, so there's the typical tuck. This is how I would leave it 99% of the time. Okay. Then you get these little weird spots, you just kind of set them down. And then here's the tamped and tucked manually. And you can see here, let's just walk it just to show the difference. Hopefully you can tell. I can. And so this side adds about 5 minutes when you tamp it manually, and this side you can leave it, but as soon as it mats down, it's going to come over the sidewalk and be kind of ugly looking within a few days. So let me tamp this down and see what it looks like. All right, and there is after the tamping, and hopefully you can tell the difference. And let's just walk this again. And what I think I'll do is I'll put both on screen. And you guys can tell me, you know, in person, this looks way cleaner, way sharper, you know, and I like it quite a bit. I mean, if you follow the line, you know, and that's kind of what I'm after, is just a little bit cleaner look with the Pinestraw, because it'll settle, and then next week I can blow it back. But my general thought process is, if I start with a tighter, sharper line to begin with, when it settles, you know, because typically what it is you leave it tucked with the blower only, it looks super thick, and then it settles over the week or two, and then when you're out next, you tuck it again and you get a little bit tighter of a line. But my thought process is, if I tuck it now manually too, start with a tighter line, when that packs down, it'll be that much sharper whenever we come back in a couple weeks. There's really no other way to know for sure except for trying it and then seeing next week. Without a shadow of a doubt, it takes longer. Okay, is it worth it? I don't know, but we're just gonna see how it looks in 2 or 3 weeks. I'm gonna put down some pre-emergent for these weeds. We're just using pre and extended. I would normally have snapshot in this, but I don't have any snapshot because I do like the pour thing. It's very convenient. And then this is all we do. And this is going to stop your weeds. I really go heavy on the corners because that's the part that everyone looks at, right? I'm just going to walk it. And this should make for a nice clean landscape all year long. And this is relatively new thing for me to do as a regular service, because the thing with your pine straw is that it is far superior to the mulch in my opinion. Because if you think of a mulch is going to break down into dirt, right? And all it is tree bark, right? I mean, it's basically just plant material, and so it's just going to break down into dirt much faster than a pine straw will, because that pine straw is really really fibrous, okay? And if you get the really fresh stuff, this is not it. They sell it as the long needle pine straw, but if you get the really fresh, nice long needle pine straw, then you really get super long lasting color, and you get way better weed control naturally. So I normally wouldn't do this with any of my beds unless it's an upsell, but this year, you know, we're trying to elevate things a little bit, so we've made it a standard service. If you get landscape with us, we're gonna put down some weed prevention for you, okay? And now this is extended control, so it should last quite a bit longer than your standard pre. And that's it. You just shake it out. I'm gonna come over here and do the same thing. And I hope you kind of notice some of my walking patterns with some of this stuff, because it's pretty similar. I'm always gonna walk kind of almost like a printer. Ooh, my hat got stuck on a limb. I'm always gonna walk kind of like a printer, right? I'm just gonna go back and forth with it. Big hole, big hole. This stuff does not take much to be effective. If you put too much, you'll actually hinder your plants. I've got a customer that uses this stuff, and he has put so much stuff down that his plants do not grow as well as they used to. We've got a lot of video from that property, and I was looking back at some stuff, and sure enough, you know, because he put so much of this stuff down, his stuff doesn't grow like it used to. And you know, you try to have that conversation, and it's always no, I I gotta stop the weeds. I don't want to pull weeds. Listen, guys, there is no such thing as 0% weeds, okay? And the weeds will, in fact, build resistances to this stuff, you know? So if you keep using it and using it, and you don't change out your weed prevention products, you're gonna have more weeds than ever, and you're gonna have wasted your money. So always alternate your products. All right. Check that out. Did a video on how to cut your roses back on these last fall, and they look fantastic. And we're going to fertilize them for the first time this year. See how well they do. So there's that one done for the day. I was just thinking how funny it is. So when I started uploading again in October of 2025, I kind of got, into my laptop and trying to get old files cleaned out, and I found I found me doing that cleanup from 2018, and then I posted me doing that cleanup from 2025, almost immediately after I found that old footage and posted it. And now here I am doing it again in 2026. But I did it differently today. You know, I did a lot more thorough of a job than is our typical thing, because, you know, I've kind of mentioned it in a few other videos, like I'm trying to do a little bit more this year in terms of the quality of work. Basically the idea being, you know, we really upped our rates this year, and the people that stuck around, it's like, holy cow, like, yeah, I'm gonna do, you know, I'm gonna do everything for you, like, because we're making enough to justify all the extra time. So what's the verdict on doing things a little more thorough, and you know, doing the Pinestraw kind of with a manual tuck on those little curbs and stuff. So it does take a lot longer, okay? It's a different set of muscles, so it's like, you know, you're gonna be a little sore for a day or two, right? But I would say for sure, dude, as long as it takes, it looks so much better, you know. And I'm only doing that on curbs and like next to sidewalks where there's a sharp edge. And the reason being is just because when the Pinestraw kind of hangs over, it does look a little messy. And let's say it rain, like let's say we do a normal tuck with the blower, and then it rains, it all mats down and hangs over the curbs, and it's like, I'm not going to be back out for a week or two, however long it is, you know, because we're in March. So let's say it comes a big rainstorm or just even windy, you know, the wind itself, if it's strong enough, could just blow things out of the beds. Before tucking it the way we did, so mashing it down with the rake and then tucking it in like we did, you can tell it's a lot tighter of an edge, right? Especially in part, I don't really know if the camera's going to translate it well. It's kind of like hills, you know, like sometimes you can't really on camera, you can't really understand how steep a hill is. Those edges are, so for the first time ever, I'm leaving that place thinking, wow, like that looks great with Pinestraw, right? You know what I mean? I love Pinestraw, I think it looks great, but there's always those the skinny beds always have an issue with just, it just doesn't look right. And I would prefer to do mulch in a little skinny bed. And also those little skinny beds get blown out all the time. Yeah, it takes forever, but I do love just how crisp and clean those lines look. And hopefully at the end of this little segment, you'll see the pictures and you'll see what I mean, right? It's just different. The next 2 or 3 jobs I'm going to do that way. The following couple jobs, I'm going to do the classic, just tuck it with the leaf blower. And what we're going to do is we're going to let it pass. We're going to go, you know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, let the stuff mat down like it would normally. And then I'm going to make a video comparing the ones that I tamped manually and spent all that extra time. And then I'm going to compare the ones that I just did the classic tuck with, okay? And the classic tuck, you know what, I'll do it just like we would always. I'm going to let it pat down and go over the curb. And then before I do my comparison, I'll blow it again to tuck it, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea with that. It is a lot faster, but I don't know, man. I find myself becoming more and more the old OCD nitpicky man, and the problem with that is I'm running a business, and it might not be the best thing for business, you know, but that's the experiment this year, right? Is like, how highfalutin and fancy can we get with it? Or do I just need to put the fries in the bag, you know, throw the mower on the thing and mow it, go home? You know what I mean? Like, how cost effective can it be? So far, I'm happy with how my bank account looks. Like, we got a lot of prepayments, even with this extra pricing, okay? I lost 2 customers over it, but they were customers that
I wasn't thrilled to go to their property anyway. I'm trying to be nice. You know, I didn't like them. Okay, I didn't like them. They're not good customers. So I lost a couple not great customers anyway, and you know, there's a lot of free time, but there's also we're filling that time with a lot of extra work doing things the way we're doing it. So we're just gonna see. This year's an experiment. I need to get help. I genuinely do, because this stuff would be a breeze if I had a guy with me. I've done a few interviews, they're not going well, and then on top of that, I can't get our accountant to speak to me. It is tax season and they're covered up, and I think what it's going to boil down to is I'm going to let them file my taxes this year, and we're going to go find another CPA to run our payroll. So we've dropped off tax forms for a fella, and he's supposed to be on payroll, but I can't get communication from the lady who's running our payroll. So and you know, I would rather have a professional do that so that I don't have to worry about things, but here we are and I'm having to worry about things, right? So yeah, I think we're just gonna let them finish filing our taxes this year. I'm gonna suffer through the landscape season and get all my landscapes done, and then I'm gonna find someone else to run our processing, because you know, I tried to initially set up our payroll through our CPA last year. I tried to set up in April, and it took like an extra week, you know, and the first guy, we had him lined up. It's the same thing that I'm going through now. I had a guy lined up last year, and we were ready to start him, but I didn't know when we could start him because they weren't responding. Like, is he on payroll now or not? Like can we go ahead and get him to work? Or, and they just weren't responding, and it's purely because I guess they overbooked themselves during tax season. So you know, we're gonna be looking for a new CPA, and that's a scary thing, man, because like I'm comfortable with these guys in regards to filing our taxes, and you know, they make you know, really, they make a lot of sense, like the things they do as far as write-offs and depreciation and stuff like that. I've had some CPAs where, you know, they weren't taking full advantage of the tax law, and so we switched. So it's difficult to find someone to do anything, really, whether it's for me or just another service. But yeah, that is the day. That's why I don't have help. And yeah, man, this is life, right? I decided to add a bunch of extra services and work for myself the year I can't get my CPA to add an employee to payroll. Oh my God.